Amphibia Season 2 in a word, impressive. I've been a pretty big fan of this show ever since Season 1 aired and I've expressed my love for it online. It seems like I'm never getting tired talking about it, as if I am a ticket machine that always says the same things repeatedly over and over again. So how did this tragedy occur in the first place? Well, it all started back in 2019. I was nothing but a fan of JoJo and Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Unfortunately, the latter show came to an end in May, so what did I do afterwards to fill the disappointing void that Star vs. had left me? For many people, the answer was Amphibia. The show premiered about a month after the Star vs. finale, and it piqued their interest. But not me. I didn't want to burst into the excitement quickly, so I missed the premiere date. And I thought this show was just gonna be your average Disney type show that would soon be forgotten. But then, I saw this scene.
Don't you dare talk about pineapple on my pizza. Ever.
This scene marked a historical moment for me. At that moment, I thought, this show might actually be fun. Season 1 is amazing, and truthfully, the reason why it's amazing is not because it has a super deep plot or something. It's basically just a family sitcom disguising as an isekai in a frog world. I said sitcom because season 1 relies heavily in its humor, and the humor is just golden every single time. Almost all the episodes just trying to one-up each other on the characters and the humor side of things. I really love it. So after the dramatic season 1 finale, I looked forward to the next season. I thought that following the logic of the storyline, season 2 should focus more into the plot on how Anne is going to get home to keep the series engaging for viewers. With the trailers and promos and all that, I was so excited for season 2. You didn't know how much I lost my mind when it was announced back in June last year. And now here we are, nearly a year later, with season 2 finally got wrapped up. Looking back at the season, thematically, it has a pretty big difference from the first season. The most obvious one is the focus on the plot side of things, which I did expect. Summarizing briefly, here's the whole plot of Season 2. Anne and the Planter family left Wordwood to head out to Utopia to ask for the ruler, King Andreas, to get back home using the music box that got her and her friends to the frog world. But first, the gems in the box have to be recharged in order for it to work. To recharge them, they have to solve the puzzles in the 3 temples that each of the gems belong to: intelligence, kindness, and strength. That's it, that's the linear plot. Certainly there are episodes that don't follow this plot at all, and this creates a healthy balance between the story and the humor. Again, this is a refreshing direction from season 1, which, just like I said, it was like a sitcom. It doesn't abandon its season 1 charm as well, it just so happened that it took place at some brand new locations. And that's another thing, season 2 does a fairly good job on building the world of Amphibia that we only knew a small portion of in season 1. There, it mostly only took place on Wordwood. Now, we know like a dozen or so new locations. They build a foundation for a wide variety of episodes ideas. And this leads me to the individual episodes. The best way I can describe them is they're wild, but they're mostly still fun. One episode is about them stumbling into this tiny ass town where Hop-Up stood up against a bunch of gangsters. Another one is about them entering an underground ruins that looks like a factory or something. Another one is them meeting One-Eyed Wally, who turns out to come from a wealthy family. Another one is about Sprig fighting with a hotel crew in Utopia. And another one is about Anne and the gang having a sleepover gone wrong. Another one is about Polly meeting a robot that came from the underground factory they went to earlier this season. You also can't forget how crucial the Gravity Falls crossover episode is for the show, especially for the old Gravity Falls fans. It was such a treat. This kind of episodes shine just like they did on season 1. My personal favorite gotta be Lost in Utopia. I mean, it reminds me of that Anne and Polly episode in season 1, but the fact that they're actually getting into the deeper parts of Utopia is also a perfect move to recognize all the trivial things happening in the city, so as the Sprig Gets Schooled episode. I am now going to share some of the funniest moments from season 2. If you haven't seen the show itself, let me show you how Amphibia handles comedy.
I didn't want the baby carrots, Mom! I didn't want them! Why? Whoa! Newsflash, kid. I'm a monster from another world. I might eat newts for breakfast.
Wanna find out?
A really rotten corpse. No. No. Hey, perfect.
Did you girls just mistake me for a corpse?
Of corpse not, Hop Pop. Get away! Oh, relax, everyone. It's just a cardinal. They don't eat frogs. She's just saying hello. Oh my gosh, are you a vagrant? Is that an accordion? Is that eye really gone?
Too many questions.
Occasionally, the show gets downright emotional as well, namely at the end of Hopping Mall and After the Rain. These scenes show that Anne has been living so close to the planters, they basically become her second family. She cares so much about them. I especially sobbed in Hopping Mall. The night visuals combined with the heartwarming conversation between Anne and Sprig about their parents just melted my heart. Moments like this make me realize how this show isn't afraid to get serious despite relying on comedy most of the time. I don't know, man, this scene means so much, not only for both characters, but for myself as well. The background arts are just beautiful to look at. They somehow bring some extra bit of life in the show. Locations like Utopia and the temples are drawn with a lot of minor details brought into them. One of them that is interesting is the collection of Amphibia runes that us fans can decipher through the promos that Disney gave us preceding each new weekly episodes. Yeah, at first this is reminiscent of Gravity Falls, but trust me, this show is unique enough to stand out on its own. All of it makes season 2 a good starting point for people to dive deep into the show's lores. A basic example is each of the girls' eye colors that flash by in the blink of an eye in some episodes. These small instances foreshadow a lot of things in the finale, and each color corresponds with temples in which each girls are skilled enough to complete. You don't have to 100% understand the show's lores to appreciate it, it's just a neat thing to add, it gives a bit more depth for the show. I also love the soundtrack for this season. TJ Hill is responsible for the music department in this one. He's also directed the soundtrack for the Owl House, and it shows. Not only does it fit the mood really well, but the music also brings an extra layer to the scenes that it's added on, whether it be the laid-back setting of Woodwood or the tense scenes in a lot of battles in this show. My favorite soundtrack has to be the various versions of the series outro that are worked in on quite a few scenes this season. And every time it plays, I always feel this sense of extravagance, of longingness, of nostalgia.
You have sacrificed your warmth for your friends, your safety for a stranger in need. You even risked your life for an enemy. But empathy alone isn't enough for what is heart without responsibility.
For me, it's really like a musical icon for the show, and it makes the scenes where they're placed at a lot more epic. So now let's move on to the characters. The planters are just as fun to watch as they were in season 1, very funny and uplifting, especially Hop Pop. I really like that we keep seeing him as the character that grows the most compared to the other planters, namely on After the Rain, where he made a big oopsie on losing Anne's music box. Both of them then try to reconcile things in the first temple. We see that Hop Pop cares so much about Anne now than ever before. He's trying to redeem his mistake. I'm also happy we see more of Ivy, Maddie, and Wally. I really adore their characters when they interact with the main characters this season. But if there's a true highlight on the characters this season, it's the 3 girls. Anne still has plenty of room to grow since season 1. They still make an effort to make her go through a lot of things, even though she's been through an arc of her own in season 1, wanting to prove that she's a part of Workwood, as well as confronting the person she's been under control of up until that point. This was a satisfying moment for us viewers because we've been rooting for her ever since episode 1. Season 2 basically continued Anne's journey. This time she went from earning love and respect to repairing her relationships between her and her friends, while simultaneously trying not to trust anyone, even her own friends. I think one scene that is overlooked by a lot of people is this one from Bessie and Michelangelo.
I think the reason I don't want a new look is because I'm finally happy with who I see in the mirror right now. So whatever I put on, I just want to be able to see the same me looking back.
This clip is enough to show us that Anne has finally realized who her true self is, and she's happy with it. And this reason is why she becomes the person that tries to gather her friends back together. I'm happy we finally got to meet Marcy after waiting for a year. The reason why I like her is because, well, she's Marcy. Maybe the most relatable character in the bunch. What's the word I'm looking for? Adorable? Yeah. Look, I just love cinnamon roll type characters, okay? They always make my day and the sole reason I even exist as a human being. That doesn't mean she has no arc. I mean, that's the purpose of the first temple. It's just most of the time she's enjoyable mainly as the cute girl. And then there's Sasha. I believe she is the most complex of the three girls. I like that she went through a lot of actual struggles to achieve her goals, even if she lost some friends along the way as a result. I wish she has 1 or 2 more episodes before the third temple to make her progression flow more effectively this season, but I don't mind it that much. She's a very interesting character to look back and analyze. In fact, that's what I'm currently doing. I'm going to make an analysis video about Sasha with a friend of mine in the future. I almost forgot about Grime, who has really grown on me this season. I didn't really think of him that much on season 1, but here he's a much more compelling character, especially when he fulfills his role as Sasha's companion and kind of like her mentor. He tries to guide her in the right direction just to assure their plans worked. Interactions like these are some of the best in the series. Also, I'd say Grime is in peak form in the 2 episodes preceding the finale, where comedically he steals the show.
How did you even walk?
Plenty of Amphibia episodes kept me in the edge of my seat with some pretty powerful moments, like the ending scene of Hopping Mall I mentioned earlier, the Sasha fight scene in the third temple, and who can forget Grime playing a harp for 3 hours. I cannot describe how incredible it is.
Well, I've seen enough. Grab wins!
So I've praised a lot of things about the season. Up until Battle of the Bands, I was just loving almost every episode of the season. But all of them did not prepare me for the true crown jewel of the season, the finale, True Colors. And this is where I'm going to put a spoiler warning. If you guys want to watch the show but haven't started it yet or haven't caught up to this point, you might want to skip to the time frame on the screen because trust me, you don't want anything, and I mean anything, from this finale to be spoiled to you. I recommend that you experience it for yourselves because it has a lot to take in, so this is your final warning. Here we go then. I think True Colors is one of the best season finales I've ever seen in my short life. I really don't have anything negative to say about this episode. It is truly amazing. They somehow managed to pack a lot of stuff in its 24-minute runtime and none of them felt rushed or forced. The emotional stakes are on an all-time high, and also the voice actors put everything they got into their characters. The pacing goes over relatively smooth as well. You really just cannot get bored watching this episode from front to end. Right from the get-go, this episode introduced a flashback of Marcy, a perspective we saw from her Earth self for the first time. This makes for an intriguing start for this episode, and this flashback could be more significant in context later in the episode. Once we get to the present day, we see the girls arrive in Utopia. The tone in the episode is pretty normal and lighthearted, so I guess this is gonna be a regular finale I expect. Oh shit! Wow, I can't say I didn't see that coming. This has quickly turned into a full-on Toad rebellion. This is the moment where Anne really popped off at Sasha after knowing the fact that she has betrayed her twice. The blue gem in the music box represented Anne's inner character of kindness and helpfulness, as shown in the second temple where she managed to pass through all the trials there. But in this scene, she realized that even her kindness couldn't work to bring Sasha on her side, considering that Sasha was her friend back home, and even when the three girls reunited for a dinner and a band contest, where they were having so much fun like nothing happened, This was hard to take in for Anne. At this point, she knew that her and Sasha would never ever repair their broken friendship, so she decided to end it for good. Sasha then opened the music box to transport Anne and Marcy to their home, but to no avail. So she ordered the guards to put them in the dungeon. On their way, Anne couldn't stop her boiling anger to control over emotions because of earlier. She then smashed a guard in the face before General Yunan disabled the rest of the guards. Oh, now that I thought about it, I haven't even mentioned Yunan once in this video, or Lady Olivia. Whatever. Anne then tried to motivate the gang to work on the plan she has thought of. Back at the castle, while Anne tried to regain control of the city, Sasha didn't feel all that well because of Anne calling her a horrible friend. The truth is, after rejoining with the rest of the girls, Sasha knew that she would do something wrong by betraying them in order to follow Grimes' plan. Especially Anne. Both of them didn't get along well back at the dinner. She showed hints that she felt a bit guilty of it. The problem with Sasha though is that she doesn't like to show an ounce of weakness to others except Grime. She tries to be that one person who gets to lead the gang, but she's not particularly good at it. She tries to influence Anne and Marcy to do whatever she likes, case in point the band episode. She tries to manipulate Anne into trusting her, no matter what kind of world they're in. She's also able to hide her vulnerability very well on the surface. All of these characteristics manifested in a not so good way. It's no surprise that Anne called her an awful person. She had no choice but to do the hardest job that a person can do, break a friendship. Sasha felt bad about all of this. She also said that she didn't know what she wanted anymore now that her and Grime took control of the biggest city in Amphibia. This victory felt empty for her because at what cost? She lost her best friends in a rough way. Didn't she deserve any kind of redemption after all the bad things she's done? Grime then tried to take Sasha's mind off of those stuff by cleaning up the palace room, and then they found a drawing, revealing that King Andreas was going to use that box for malice intense. Immediately, they found out that Anne is about to retake the city. Sasha tried to convince Anne that the king was not as wise as she had thought. As expected, Anne threw those words out of her ears, immediately confronting Sasha for a rematch since the TO.TO Tower. Sprig then also fought off Grime in the rooftops, and I gotta say, the fights go over much more dynamic here than in Reunion. They're short, but they're still very enjoyable. Especially Sprig when he lifted that hammer for an instance. It's quite fulfilling. I also like that this fight takes place in Utopia. It's a natural move since the fight in the first season is located in the TO.TO Tower. Anne and the gang finally took down the rebellion with success. So it seemed like things ended much earlier than I would have thought, and if the season ended right here, I would be okay with it. It would make a solid conclusion. But there are still 11 minutes left of this episode, and I'm not kidding when I say that these last 11 minutes are probably the most insane 11 minutes I've ever laid my eyes on a TV show. This last leg really makes up this episode. So buckle up. Anne handed over the music box to King Andreas, ignoring Sasha's warning. Soon he told a brief history on how he messed up as a ruler of the world because of the music box that got stolen, and that since he has his hands on the box, he wants to relive the glory days of Utopia. Ooh, yeah, well, prove to us, old man. Okay, what the fuck happened here? How the hell did the city turn into Sokovia? And why are there so many Frobos manufactured? This has skyrocketed very quickly. Andreas told Anne that she cannot go home just yet to prevent word about his invasion of the other worlds. When I first watched this episode, this line stuck to me. What worlds? Is there any other world than the frog world? Is there ant world or kangaroo world or even armadillo world? Little things like this make for a great source for a lot of theories, but I'll get into that later. Just when Anne is about to start another fight.
Stop! Andreas, this wasn't the plan. You said no one would get hurt.
What plan?
Marcy then told the confused girls that Andreas promised them a new world. before Andreas added that Marcy got the three of them to Amphibia on purpose. This led to a rare moment where Marcy broke down in tears in desperate need to tell Anne that they can be friends forever without her family being there. As someone who saw the scene at the end of A Day at the Aquarium episode, Marcy's betrayal for me shouldn't come as a big surprise. Lord, it's in the fucking intro for frog's sake. But still, this scene is very painful to watch. Up until this point, Marcy has been beloved by both Anne and Sasha. She is often looked as the most innocent of the three, but this moment changed everything. Remember this clip of the girl's photo being caught in a heavy rain back in the old season 1 intro? This imagery shows us that the friendship between the three girls would not be broken no matter how tough situations become. They would still be the part of a single frame. This was the mindset Anne had throughout season 1 up until the fight at the Toad Tower. They would still remain best friends when the three of them reunite. Compare this to the season 2 intro where Sasha straight up attacked Anne on a sword fight, symbolizing how manipulative and controlling Sasha's behavior can be. Anne tried to fight her off her mind after the Toad Tower incident, and then the next shot revealed Marcy in the background with a box in her hands, representing on how she is secretly the master of the puppets being Anne and Sasha. Marcy was the one who found out about the music box and its purpose to travel through different worlds. At the time, she couldn't think clearly, so immediately she texted Sasha about the music box so that she could escape once and for all from her parents.
Oh my gosh, Marcy says she found the perfect gift for you downtown. A frog music box for the frog lover. I wonder if those gems are real.
She even made a deal with the ruler of that world to ensure that they will never ever return to the world they first inhabited in. Keep in mind, Marcy is usually the person who can solve a lot of problems by using her brain. The one time where she fails to look behind Andrea's facade is all because of her parents. She doesn't want her parents to separate her from her friends because of a job in the state. She wants to stick by her friends all the time. She does not want to be alone. But little did she know that she didn't fix anything from what she did. Now this is where it gets interesting. In order to fulfill her goal to rule over Amphibia, Sasha has to break her friendship with Anne. Anne has to teleport her and Marcy back to Earth. In order to stay by Anne's side, Marcy has to hand over the music box to a dangerous conqueror that can rule all worlds with the power he owns. Even though Sasha and Marcy's intentions are contrasted, the foreseeable outcomes of both lead to a conclusion. The three of them cannot go home together. Anne, on the other hand, surely believes otherwise. As much as she enjoys her life in Amphibia, she wants to return to the old life, with both of her friends coming with her. She is against Sasha's idea of taking over Amphibia, bringing in an uncertain future to the world. She is against Marcy's idea of letting the king taking control of everything, risking everyone's lives, not just there but in other worlds, just like the big nude man said. True Colors pretty much confirms that the three girls are at odds with each other. No one supports one's ideals and goals. Even though Anne still has the group photo of her and the girls and it's physically still intact, spiritually it's already ripped into three big pieces. They are no longer in a single frame. This is until Anne decided to work together with Sasha to bring Andreas down, and so the others as well. It is so satisfying to see all of them work together to defeat the robots. They're like the Avengers here. Wait, Avengers? City flying on the sky? Evil robots? Is this Age of Ultron?
Nobody has to break anything.
Clearly you've never made an omelet.
I've seen the future, and it's omelets.
I refuse to believe that no one in the crew didn't take at least a bit of influence from that movie. Anyways, Provo died. And then at the most unlikely of times, Polly got her own legs. I really like the fact that Marcy said back then when Polly would finally grow legs, and here we are.
My little baby's got legs!
Polly, get the box! Get the box!
Sasha screamed Polly's name to capture the box. This is the first time she referred to a planter by their name, since historically she never really cared for them, even liked to mock them. That's a good development. So, Polly went full Sonic mode to grab the box before Andreas threatened to kill her brother, and then begged him to put Sprig down. But, of course, she fell for the most basic trick in confronting a villain. He dropped Sprig from the heights and sobbed. She lost her own world. She lost her family. She lost Sasha and Marcy. But she couldn't afford losing a true friend that sticks by her side no matter what. Chaos after chaos after chaos she's been through. The hardest of times, the saddest of moments, the happiest of memories. He's still there. He is the one that truly helps Anne move forward to help her reach the end. He's a friend that she cannot get by her own on Earth. He is a true blessing for her. Because you don't need a photo as a proof that you're a friend with someone. You just need friendship. It's all universal. It's all powerful. It's gone. This is the moment where I burst down into tears. I don't do that quite often whenever I watch a series. This moment is where I realize that Amphibia is more than a show to me. It's hard to describe, but I've never felt this much emotion while watching a show. It was as if the show itself is touching my heart, is hurting me about how I wanna be in real life. The bond of friendship is incredible. I just wanna have a friend I can relate to as a Sprig to my Anne. But sometimes there's always the ones you can trust, the ones that betray you. This is how I feel about this scene. It's hard to imagine how heartbroken I would be if I was in that situation. All of a sudden, Anne's eyes shone. She was then engulfed in blue flames, coming out of the gem from the music box. Andreas started in shock, saying that Anne was still connected to the stone. She was absorbing the power from it. Her hair glowed neon blue. She started attacking Andreas and his bots. And this is where the animation truly stunts. Maybe the best animation in the entire show. Even her facial expressions show an immense sign of anguish. Combined with the dramatic music, I think this reminds me of Demon Slayer episode 19 all over again. Anne soon lost control of her powers, passing out for a bit before Sprig came running back to her. Andreas said that even he was surprised of Anne's powers. He was about to kill her. Then Marcy stole the box from the charging station to open the gate to Earth. Anne and the planters went to the portal while Sasha and Grime tried to distract Andreas. What happened next was history.
I just need to...
I fell out of my chair in disbelief. I didn't even think in the slightest that this scene would be real. And before I could even process that, Anne and the planters woke up in the middle of a traffic jam in a highway. She was back home on Earth. Then the credits started to roll. This ending, I just still cannot get over it. To me, I will argue that this is what I call a perfect cliffhanger. It leaves the viewers unsatisfied, incomplete, wanting for more. It contains both an unimaginable twist and an unresolved plot that somehow make total sense. Marcy is the one that shows up first in the flashback of the episode, and you know what that usually means in TV shows. I don't think that Marcy will be dead for the rest of the series. No, I'm sure the others will make an effort to bring her back to life. Ask Maddie, she's good at that. But what about Sasha? With Anne and Marcy gone, she is the only one that can lead some kind of resistance against King Andreas. And what about Anne and the planters? Are people on Earth gonna freak out about talking frogs? Will Anne's parents become suspicious on why she wears an armor? Who the hell stole that music box in the first place, and who is Dr. P? It's apparent that this finale leaves a lot of room for discussion and speculation. A lot of questions are being asked, but we can only wait for the answers until season 3 arrives. This is why True Colors works so well as a finale. It has fun fights in the first half that you expect from the show, but then it turns dark and emotional on the second half. And then the ending just wraps things up that makes us hungry for more of these. I think I've talked enough about True Colors in this video. I literally spent half the length of this video to discuss it. Overall, I do think this is an excellent season. I freaking love it. If I have to compare it with season 1, I do like this slightly better than season 1. But again, I love both seasons for different reasons. Damn, that was a fire bar. There are a few episodes that are pale in comparison to others, like the Night Drivers episode, or the Toadstool episode, or that weird Polly episode, but there's not a single episode in this season that I utterly dislike. But if I have to say something negative, the biggest complaint I have with the show is Disney. Yes, it doesn't even come within the show itself. Disney has been treating the show like dog shit. It literally released the entire first fucking season within a month, Stephen Baum style. And when Disney did release episodes weekly on the first half of season 2, it often got overshadowed by the growing popularity of another Disney show, The Owl House, at the time. And then, to top it all off, Disney postponed the release of True Colors from its scheduled date due to a scheduling shift, leading to a leak spreading online the day after, causing the creator Matt Braley and his crew to be incredibly upset about this whole drama. I personally felt so sorry for the crew who have worked so hard for this finale. It didn't deserve this kind of treatment. Imagine how much better things would be if the finale came out on schedule. Then a leak wouldn't even happen, and us Amphibia fandom can live in peace for the hiatus. I don't know, life is unfair sometimes, I just gotta deal with it. I can only hope that Disney finally get their shit together for season 3. Is it that hard? But again, this is all just a technical issue. Isolated, and what you'll get is a masterpiece of a show. And that show is called Amphibia. 9 out of 10. I'm really looking forward for the final season. So if you like Amphibia or any other cartoons, you can join my Discord server and follow me on Instagram and Twitter, linked down below. I talk plenty of stuff about them on a daily basis. Don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss me posting the Sasha analysis video I have mentioned earlier, do you? Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. I love you guys.